One began with a DVD left on a park bench. Another appeared as hundreds of meaningless sentences posted across the early internet. One promised enlightenment through a maze of more than 9,000 pages. And the final rabbit hole may have hidden something far more disturbing than a puzzle. These stories all started the same way, with someone clicking a link that didn't make sense. But every time the internet searched for an explanation, it found another door underneath it. Here are 6 internet rabbit holes that get darker the deeper you go.
In 2015, the editor of a technology website received a package from Poland. Inside was a DVD with no explanation. Written across it was a code, 11B-X-1371. The disc contained one video. It showed a figure standing inside an abandoned building, dressed in a long black robe and a plague doctor mask. A blinking light flashed from the figure's hand, while a harsh electronic noise filled the room. That was already unsettling. Then people examined the sound. The noise contained hidden images that appeared when it was converted into a spectrogram. Viewers found skulls, distorted faces, and coded messages. The blinking light appeared to carry binary information. Individual frames contained coordinates, symbols, and phrases that sounded like threats. The video had not simply been filmed. It had been constructed as a puzzle. Internet investigators identified the location as the abandoned Zofiówka Sanatorium near Otwock, Poland. But that only made the video feel more deliberate. Someone had traveled to a decaying building, designed a mask, encoded layers of information, and then distributed physical copies. The theories arrived immediately. Some believed it was a warning from a terrorist group. Others suspected a recruitment test, a threat against public figures, or a message from someone claiming responsibility for a future attack. None of those explanations was supported by evidence. 3 months later, a person using the name Parker Warner Wright claimed to be the creator. He said the video was an art project and later released a sequel. To prove the claim, he demonstrated knowledge of the custom plague doctor mask. That explanation is generally accepted. But 11B-X-1371 revealed something important about internet rabbit holes. Even when a mystery has a creator, the audience can build a second mystery around it, one far larger than the original. And the next rabbit hole did not begin with a video. It began before most people had even heard of the web.
On August 5th, 1996, hundreds of strange messages appeared across Usenet, the network of discussion groups that existed before modern social media. They contained ordinary English words arranged in ways that made almost no sense. Names, verbs, places, and technical terms collided without forming a clear sentence. 3 words appeared again and again: Markovian, parallax, denigrate. The messages looked random, but not completely random. That distinction kept people interested for decades. If the posts were meaningless spam, why did they seem to follow patterns? If they were encrypted, where was the key? And why were so many messages sent in a concentrated burst? One surviving header appeared to connect the posts to an email address containing the name Susan Lindauer. Years later, a woman with that name became publicly known after being charged in a completely unrelated political case. That coincidence transformed a strange spam event into a conspiracy. But there is no reliable evidence that the Susan Lindauer in the email header was the same person, or that she had anything to do with the posts at all. Email identities on Usenet could be forged, borrowed, or automatically inserted. The most grounded explanation is also the most interesting. The messages may have been generated by an early text program, a crude system assembling words statistically, creating language that looked human from a distance and collapsed into nonsense when read closely. That could make Markovian parallax denigrate an early experiment, a broken spam bot, or simply a programmer testing automatic text generation in public. But nobody has conclusively identified the sender or the purpose. In 1996, the idea of a machine flooding the internet with human-looking nonsense felt bizarre.
Today, it feels almost familiar. The next rabbit hole also looked like machine noise, except this time the noise appeared on Reddit.
and it seemed to be testing the people who found it.
In January 2011, an account began filling a private subreddit with long blocks of letters and numbers. Its name was equally unreadable: A858 DE45 F56D9 BC9. For years, posts appeared without context. Some were hexadecimal strings, others contained encoded text, coordinates, or enormous walls of data. Access to the community was initially restricted, which made it feel less like a public puzzle and more like a locked room someone had accidentally discovered. Eventually, the subreddit opened. A separate group formed to solve it. People tried substitution ciphers, number systems, steganography, and computer scripts. A small number of messages produced results: a quotation, an ASCII image of Stonehenge, fragments that felt meaningful but never formed a complete story. Then the puzzle became personal. Users reported messages that appeared to acknowledge the solving community. New posts seemed to react to their progress. At one point, the account invited people to submit identifying information as part of the next stage. That changed the atmosphere. A puzzle was harmless. A puzzle that wanted to know who was solving it felt different. Speculation ranged from an alternate reality game to a cryptography experiment, an intelligence recruitment program, or a method of collecting information about technically skilled users. Then, in 2016, someone claiming to be behind A858 contacted a moderator. According to the explanation shared with the community, the entire project had been created for a company as part of a commercial venture. The company lost interest, the project failed, and the person posting the puzzles continued independently for a while. It was not a secret agency. It was apparently abandoned marketing. But the explanation could not restore the years people had spent treating every character as intentional. Thousands of posts had created the appearance of a vast system, even when the person behind it reportedly admitted that some entries had no solution.
That is the danger of a sufficiently large puzzle. Eventually, randomness begins to look like design. Our next rabbit hole is larger still, and unlike A858, its creator never pretended the destination would be simple. The address itself looks like a code: 973ETHNUMUH973.com. Read the middle section backwards and it becomes The Human. Enter the website and you are confronted by an old-fashioned page filled with numbers, religious symbols, paintings, newspaper clippings, poetry, equations, and links leading in every direction. Click one and the design changes. Click another and you find more numbers. Then mythology, alchemy, astronomy, philosophy, reversed language, historical photographs, pages inside pages inside pages. The site reportedly contains more than 9,000 individual pages. It was created in the early 2000s by British artist David Dennison, who described the project as his life's work. That means the identity of the creator is not the mystery. The mystery is what he built. Visitors began searching for a central solution. The repeated numbers appeared deliberate. Words mirrored each other. The number 9 seemed to connect sections of the maze. The site's forum, called the Oracle, attracted users who compared interpretations and searched for a correct path. Some treated it as a giant work of surrealist art. Others treated it as a spiritual system. A few claimed that completing the maze could produce enlightenment or psychological side effects. Those claims are personal accounts, not verified facts. There is no evidence that the website possesses hidden supernatural power. But spending years inside a structure built from someone else's private symbols can affect the way a person thinks. Every coincidence starts to feel selected. Every repeated number feels like confirmation. The maze trains you to search for connections, and then provides an almost unlimited amount of material in which to find them. That may be the real mechanism behind 973. It does not give every visitor the same message. It gives them enough fragments to construct their own. And while 973 openly credits its creator, the next group did the opposite. It built a worldwide recruitment puzzle, while carefully hiding who was doing the recruiting. On January 4th, 2012, an image appeared on 4chan. White text on a black background announced that an organization was searching for highly intelligent individuals. A hidden message inside the image led to another clue, then another. What followed became the most famous cryptographic rabbit hole on the internet.
Solvers extracted data concealed inside images. They decoded book ciphers, followed telephone instructions, and used anonymous websites. Eventually, GPS coordinates appeared. The coordinates pointed to physical locations around the world. From the United States to Europe and Australia, people found posters attached to streetlights. Each displayed the same symbol, a cicada, accompanied by a QR code. This was no longer one person uploading riddles from a bedroom. Someone had organized a coordinated international puzzle.
A small number of participants reached the private stages. Accounts from successful solvers suggest they were questioned about privacy, censorship, and freedom of information. Some were invited into a private forum and asked to work on projects aligned with those ideals. But the organization behind the process remained hidden. New puzzle rounds appeared in 2013 and 2014. The third introduced Liber Primus, or First Book, pages of runic writing containing encrypted philosophical passages and instructions. Only part of the book has been solved. Theories about Cicada's purpose include a cypherpunk collective, a privacy-focused software group, an intelligence agency, a secret society, or a small team of talented puzzle designers. No theory has been proven. Authentic Cicada messages were protected by the same digital signature, allowing solvers to separate official communications from copycats. In April 2017, the group issued its last verified message, warning people to avoid unsigned puzzles. Then it disappeared. No public reveal, no company launch, no person taking credit. Just an unfinished book and a recruitment process whose final purpose remains unknown. Cicada demonstrated how strangers could be selected, tested, and moved from a public platform into private spaces without ever learning who controlled the door. And that leads to the final rabbit hole. Because years before Cicada, Reddit users may have discovered a private network that was never intended to be a game.
The phrase Lake City Quiet Pills sounds like a brand of medication. It is actually slang. Lake City refers to a major ammunition plant in the United States. Quiet pills can be interpreted as bullets. The mystery began with a Reddit user known as Religion of Peace. He claimed to be an elderly military veteran named Milo. His account was abrasive, frequently offensive, and connected to an image hosting website sometimes called That Old Guy's Image Host. In July 2009, another account named 26 announced that Milo had died. That could have been the end of the story. Months later, a Reddit user inspected the source code of the image hosting site. Hidden inside the HTML were messages that ordinary visitors could not see on the page. They read like notices exchanged by former military personnel. Some discussed travel, age limits, language skills, and payment. Others referred to specific equipment and warned applicants not to bring mobile phones. One message appeared to advertise work requiring people with experience in several regions of the world. Read in isolation, the post sounded like security contracting jobs. Read beside the website's name, the military language, and the secrecy, they sounded much worse. Internet investigators proposed that the image host was a cover for a network of mercenaries or even contract killers using public source code as a hidden message board. Then came the darkest theory. In January 2010, a Hamas official named Mahmoud al-Mabouh was killed in a hotel in Dubai. Surveillance footage showed a large team moving through the hotel using disguises and forged identities. Some online investigators tried to connect the timing and language of the hidden job posts to that operation. But no credible evidence establishes that connection. There was no verified proof that the people behind Lake City Quiet Pills were assassins, that Milo's identity was genuine, or that the job notices described illegal activity. Even the most dramatic clues can be explained by a hoax, role-playing, ordinary private security work, or a group of former military friends using dark humor.
And there is a major problem with this secret network theory. Why would professionals hide operational messages in the source code of a public website advertised on Reddit? It is concealed from casual visitors, but not from anyone who knows how to click View Source. That is either terrible security or deliberate bait. The mystery survives because both explanations are uncomfortable. If it was real, users may have accidentally watched a private network communicating in public. If it was fake, someone constructed deceased identities, coded notices, and years of background detail without ever stepping forward to claim the attention. The trail eventually stopped. No definitive confession appeared, no investigation publicly established who wrote every message. The site became another dead address, surrounded by archived fragments and arguments. Unlike a normal puzzle, Lake City Quiet Pills never promised an answer. It only left evidence that looked as though it belonged to something happening outside the screen.
6 rabbit holes, a plague doctor hiding codes in a video, a machine-like flood of words from 1996, an abandoned commercial puzzle, a maze built from one artist's entire life, and a worldwide recruitment test with no known recruiter, and a hidden message board that may have been fiction or something far less harmless. The deeper these stories go, the harder it becomes to separate the mystery from the people investigating it. Because the internet does not simply preserve evidence. It preserves speculation, coincidence, and fear beside it.